Hello, crafty creators. So today I'm working on a huge DIY project. I am redoing the grout on my floors. So we have porcelain tiles. They had laid a laminate wood plank look type flooring over it. And one day I went to go do my dishes in my washing machine and this little part underneath had fallen off. So I get down to fix it and I notice these ceramic planks or tiles like sticking out. And I was like, what the heck? So I started to pull the floor up and it turns out the whole house had these ceramic tiles. I was like, oh my God, why would you cover those? So I pulled everything up and we discovered that there were some tiles that need to be replaced. So we're going to do that, but we haven't been able to get the tiles yet because of coronavirus. The place that supplied the tiles is not open to the public right now. So I decided, okay, I'll redo all the grout where the grout was messed up. And that's what I'm going to be working on today. Now, I've been doing it for quite some time. And I just do sections at a time because number one, I have 2 kids and I don't always have time to do it. And I don't want them running over the sections that I just completed before they're dried and sealed and all that good stuff. So first step of doing this is always to clean the floor. I need to vacuum up all the lovely dog hair that we have because I have 3 dogs. And after that, I'll come back and I'll show you how I mix the grout. Okay, so I got my vacuuming done and 2 things I forgot to mention. Number 1, if you have baseboards on your walls and you're going to be redoing grout around those, you want to go ahead and remove the baseboards. We were really unfortunate and whoever put our baseboards on put caulking in the crack of the baseboard and the wall. So there's like little cracks everywhere. They put caulking in there and then when they went to wipe the caulking, they wiped it upwards. So a lot of our paint and like plaster wall stuff is coming off when we rip off baseboards, so that sucks. But another thing is that you want to remove the grout if it's not already done so. And a lot, 95% of our floor already have the grout removed. So you can see they came in here and there are little sections where there's like still some grout, but it's down far enough to where it's not really going to matter. And when you vacuum, you're going to want to make sure to go over these cracks really well to get any little rocks or dust, dog hair, anything out of there. So I am going to go ahead and show you the grout and all the tools I'm using. So this is the grout. And I think that's going to be backwards on there because I'm using the front camera. But it's Ultra Color Plus FA, and I'm using the color Biscuit. Now, I have this little container that I like to mix it in because it's just easier. I'm doing little sections at a time and not the whole floor, so I don't want to mix the whole bag. So what I do is I just pour some of that in here and then fill the water. There's a fill line on here. Fill the water to that and begin to mix it. Now, once the grout's all done, well, to lay the grout, I'm using these tools. Once the grout's all done, then I put a sealant on it. And I had this sealant already, so what I've been doing is pouring this in here because it has an easy applicator tip. So we'll go ahead and mix the grout. Move this down a little bit. So I've just been putting this in. Oh my gosh, I usually don't make that big of a mess. And I've just been putting this in here. Oh my gosh. Of course, I do this for the camera and I make a huge mess. That's okay. What's a little crafting without a mess? Okay, so let me get most of this into there. Okay, so it's that full. And then there's a little line on here. I'm going to add some water. And then we just mix. And if you add too much water, you can always add more grout mix. If you add too little water, you can always add more water. I usually have like a plastic knife in here to do this, but I'm not seeing any. So let's go with a chopstick and I'll just clean it afterwards. So yeah, we're just gonna mix the grout like so. And then I'll go ahead and show you the consistency when it's all mixed. Okay, so here's my grout, pretty thick consistency. And yeah, so I'm just going to start to put it in these little cracks here. So my voice might not match up with this because I re-recorded it with a little voiceover because, oh my gosh, the scraping of the grout was horrendous. I could not let you guys hear that. So anyways, I'm obviously not a professional, but this is how I do my grout. I just pack it into the little cracks here. You can see me filling it in there. Yeah, okay, fill. And then I scrape it like this and I keep filling it. And I'll just keep going down the line until all the grout is filled up. So I'll let you see that for a minute. So you can see I'm just packing it in there, and then I'm going to let it sit for a second and I'll scrape over it to just kind of get off some of the excess. Moving on down the line, just keep going, keep going. Oh yeah, so fun. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going on my grout and use up what I have here in the container, and then I'll come back and show you guys what I do after I've already filled in all the little creases and scraped off excess grout. Okay, so now I have all the grout filled in, have a nice little area going here, and now I need to clean off the excess. I use the little grout tool, put the grout in there, and then after it dries for a little bit, I go ahead and scrape it, and that's why there's like some chunks of grout just chilling, which I'm gonna go through with a sponge and clean that up. I know they make grout sponge things, but I hate that one. So I like to use one of these sponges. It's a sink sponge. I don't use the rough side, just the soft side. And I've got a bucket of water here, warm water, so that I can clean it off after every swipe. And you just start to clean. Start to clean the excess off. Make sure you wring out your sponge in between swipes here, and it'll start to be some pretty grout. So I'm going to go over all the grout doing that. This takes a while, and sometimes my sponge is a little wet, so you'll see little marks outside like this, and usually I'll just let that dry and then go back over it once I'm done with everything. So you can see. Okay, so I got this cleaned up for the most part. It's looking real smooth and nice, and you can see it's kind of foggy in some places, but I'll fix that up. It's just needs to be cleaned down some more. And here is what some of the finished product looks like. So this over here has already been sealed and treated. You can see some nice dog hair on the floor. And then of course you can see what I was talking about on our floorboards, where they had put caulking and wiped the caulking upwards. So here it's not too bad, but then over here it ripped off like part of the plaster and the paint and everything. So yeah, that is how I do my grout, and eventually I'll be done, but one day at a time because it takes forever. Okay, so now we just have to wait. I'll let the grout sit for quite a while, at least 4 or 5 hours, and then I'll start to treat it. I've read some places like, oh, you need to let it sit 24 hours, you need to let it sit this long, whatever. I don't do that because I have dogs and kids, and I like to get it sealed as soon as possible. So like 4 or 5 hours, I'll go and put the sealant on the grout, which you saw the little applicator tip. They're like little brush bristles, and I just brush it along the grout and make sure there's a lot of it. And then I let that sit for 5 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and clean off all the excess and let that dry. And then like in a day or two, I'll do that again so that I make sure it's really sealed well and everything. And yeah, that's been working for me. So this has been how I do my grout, and if it's wrong, I don't care because this is DIY and that's how I do it. So I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you guys like and subscribe my page so that you can see all of my Cricut creations and DIYs. Thanks.